Talk. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to Wildcards, where we talk about all things fast, furious, and fun. Here with co-host Mr. Ross Watson. Ross, how are you this fine day?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, pleasure to be here. We also have Mr. Jim Davenport. Good to see you, Jim.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
And we've got Bear, and right now we're going to play our intro music. And just one second. Here we go. That delightful musical introduction. Say what?
That's loud.
I didn't mean to disturb your quiet Canadian tendencies there. Sorry.
Don't pick that fight. Not tonight.
All right. Doug Flamingo says, "Hey, good to see you, Doug Flamingo." Square Peg makes games. Says hello. Good to see you, sir.
Hello, everybody.
So we're here to talk about Mr. Davenport's game, which is on Kickstarter right now. It is called Royal Society of Mythology. And Jim, would you mind if I played the video for it before we dive into talking about it? Okay.
Please, be my guest.
What if every legend you heard as a child was true? Dragons hidden in mountain caves, fairy rings in moonlit glades, fountains granting eternal youth, and monsters stalking shadowy forests. Every culture tells stories of fantastic wonders and horrifying beasts, dismissed by skeptics as superstition or madness. Today, almost no one believes these myths were ever real. Almost no one. You are globe-trotting adventurers working secretly for the Royal Society of Mythology, an elite organization dedicated to uncovering the truth behind the world's greatest legends. Your job? Hunt down these mysteries, follow obscure clues, and confront the interested parties, both sinister and strangely benevolent. Bring back proof, blood samples, enchanted leaves, lost teeth, shimmering scales, and if you're lucky, a living specimen or two. Return to the Society's sprawling London mansion where the truth is quietly filed away, documented, and hidden from prying eyes. Maybe someday you'll discover the greatest secret of all. What's really behind the myths.
Good video. Good video.
Yes. Whoever the guy that did that voice is, that is some sex appeal. Wow.
Well, when he did the cameo walking down the castle hallway with the cape, I mean, the bod matches the voice. I mean, it just.
I envy him. I don't envy the audio editor, though.
That's a good video. I really like that.
Yeah, I just did it all on my phone, literally. But
Really?
That was cool stuff. Before we get any further, because I'm a consummate professional, I have made a tiny URL to the Kickstarter link so I can say it easily on the air. tinyurl.com/Royal Society Myth. You can check it out right now. And we have got, how long do we have left, Jim? 12 days.
To the 14th. So
yeah, 12 days left. We crushed the goal. We were funding at $100. We've got over 1,100 right now. So,
full disclosure, this would be a good time to mention this is a project that is being published by Mike Lafferty's publishing company, Fainting Games.
Sorry, it's full disclosure.
So there is a bit of a self-interest for this particular episode. Just so the listeners know what's going on. This is a Kickstarter for something that Mike is publishing that Jim and Bear worked on. And it looks really cool. I'm excited about it. I have no issues with us pimping it on our show because it is Savage Worlds and it looks great.
Well, Jim, can you tell us a little bit more about the game and the setting and why you chose Savage Worlds as the rule set for it?
Well, I got to say, it all started with a little thing called Raiders of the Ghost Zone. A little Fainting Goat Games product that came out. Loved it. Ran a couple of sessions with it. And I just thought, this micro setting, this mini setting sort of thing is just perfect because I have lots of ideas for settings, but what you need to put into it to do like the whole really full setting book, and all the detail that you might want to have in it, kind of weighing that against how many settings are already out there, and what do people really need. I spent a lot of my time writing a column for Knights of the Dinner Table magazine called Gaming the Movies. So I spent a lot of time distilling genres and movies and TV shows for what's the essentials from these things that would make this sort of thing fun to play. So the idea of making a micro setting, of saying, okay, I can give the GM enough that they can run a few one shots, or they could really draw this into a campaign if they wanted to, because they've got all the basic bones there, and all the the inspiration, the cool stuff is there. But it's compact, it's easy, it's quick to produce, it's easy to easy on the wallet. um and all those things sort of came together, and I'd always had this idea rattling around my head that there would be some secret society, and that myths were real and hidden, and just always trying to find a home in my head as to when I wanted to do something with it. And the key aspect of it is, yes, it can feel very Indiana Jones like, but it is modern day, and it doesn't focus on ancient artifacts. It doesn't focus on the things. It focuses on the creatures and even the plants of mythology, the living things that you can go find and interact with. It's not a matter of going and kill what was ever on the briefing sheet. You're supposed to find it. If you can collect samples without harming it, if you need to negotiate with it, in some cases, if you need to save yourself and fight it if it's going to try to kill you, there's a lot of different things that can happen when you go on one of these expeditions, try and hunt down one of these myths. So all those factors really just sort of came together, and then Mike and I were talking about it. I brought up how cool I thought doing a micro setting was, and Raiders of the Ghost Zone was really cool. And it just sort of came out of that. It's like, well, why don't we try one of these things together? And it's it's just been a joy. I've really enjoyed it. I've learned a lot, and appreciated Mike and his team's work on all this.
Oh, we're certainly glad to help. I gotta say, I haven't seen this art we're looking at right now before. This
that's so cool.
Yeah.
So that's the guy. He's on Etsy under the name Bogle Bear, Bogelbear. And if you go on Etsy, you can actually find quite a few artists that do this sort of stuff, where they say, well, what if this was like some scientist from 100 years ago trying to make notes and understand what this creature was, to look at its anatomy, to look at its habits, that sort of thing. And he was just one of the best ones out there. So I reached out to him and worked out, permissions to use some of his pieces on the cover of the book, and were part of the inspiration for the approach to these creatures.
Yeah, that's some really amazing work. I'm glad you could work out a deal with him, because that's I wish I had this to put in the Kickstarter video. That's really amazing.
So this is a mini setting for Savage Worlds. It's how many pages? 34 pages.
34 pages in the mini setting book, and then there's a companion book of about 15 pages that has the pre-gens and another adventure in it.
So it's not a huge investment just to get in and get it into your table. I gotta admit, I really like the idea of presenting players with a new way to enjoy fantasy, which is more of a zoologist approach rather than a slayer approach. It's almost like the original concept for Fantastic Beasts, which was very, let's study the monsters, the creatures. I really dig that. So very cool.
Yeah, I think it shows in the pre-gens. So, I mean, the basic structure of the game is you go on expeditions, these myth hunts, if you will. And the Royal Society gathers a team of, professionals together, gives you what they know, what do the myths say about this plant or creature, what's the new information that has made them think that it might be in a certain location. They get you there. And it's going to take a variety of skills to be successful in the mission. So it's not only, people that are really good with guns. In fact, the person who's the best person with guns is the one who's just trying to keep the rest of the team safe. but you've got an occultist, you've got an archivist, you've got a cleaner who's there to make sure that there's no evidence left behind of your involvement. So there's a lot of people that aren't just gun bunnies that have to be part of this, because you're going to run into okay, well, this is the information we had, we've gotten to this place, but things are different. How do we interpret those myths? What else do we know about the occult that might help us here? So I think it tries to exercise a lot of the different aspects that Savage Worlds supports so well.
And you're not alone out there. You have a list of several factions on the Kickstarter page, factions that are possibly allies, possibly rivals, possibly someone you're going to have to deal with. I like the first one, which is the Antiquarian Society of Fabulists. And
right.
And then there's the Order, which likes to plant fake evidence, discredit researchers, and remove inconvenient witnesses. I could see a whole game set up of like, okay, we got to track down this creature, but the Order is doing their best to make sure we can't find it.
Right. I mean, the interplay of those groups, I think, is one of the most interesting parts of it, because you can have the organizations officially, butting heads or whatever, and sometimes, being in alliance when their interests coincide. But there's also the individuals of them. So you really want to make, maybe it's the the Balak maneuver from Indiana Jones. Oh, thank you for taking it away out of the vault and risking your life. I'll take it from your hands now. So you want to have a nemesis. You want to have, potential conflicting loyalties. If if there's a romantic interest and this other person happens to be part of one of these other groups. And some of the groups are more serious. Some of them are a little more fun. But yeah, I like how they liven things up.
I just wanted to share. This is this cover of the adventure that includes the pre-gens, and that's just an awesome cover image of a Wendigo there on the front.
Yeah, he's just got great work.
The Wendigo Vioni, a myth hunt. And this is part of the Kickstarter. This is one of the adventures.
This was the stretch goal that's been met in the Kickstarter.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I keep forgetting the number. There's either 6 or 7 adventures in the main book itself, and then this is an additional one.
Yeah,
each adventure is kind of a meaty one shot. So it's got the background, the description of the monster itself. There's actually, in the main book, there's a breakdown of what goes into the myth hunt. So you're given a place to go. You're given the myths behind what you're seeking. You're told what exactly you're supposed to recover. So are you only supposed to determine if it exists? Are you supposed to get blood samples? Do they actually want you to capture a specimen? Who's your contact once you're on the ground? Some local that will help you. What's your cover? So you understand, if you get confronted by, the police or the government or something, you know what to say. And then everybody has standard gear, but there's always, a loadout that's special to the mission. So they might give you something special from, there's one of the people in the Royal Society of Myth is called the Wizard, and he's basically the Q of the organization. So he might give you something special. And another of the main people is called the Spider, and they're in charge of, keeping things that do make it on the internet that might expose what the Royal Society of Myth is doing or the actual existence of one of these myths. They're sort of, help the cleaner clean things up from from back in London.
So what are some of your influences on this? I mean, I would suggest something like Harry and the Hendersons, or
I think it was really just, it's Indiana Jones, the librarian, those sorts of shows and television shows that, take you to the remote parts of the world. And, part of figuring this setting out was like, okay, it's 2025, or whenever you play the setting, it's, today. And we've got probably 5,000 satellites zipping around the earth and all this stuff. How do you make something interesting and remote and and distant and all that. So there's a whole concept of the veil, which is what keeps electronics from working very well when you get closer to one of these these mythical beasts. But it excuse me, it also seems to keep satellite imagery or other normal means of detection from picking these things up. Now, the nature of the veil, why it's there, there's a whole backstory to discover of if all these mythical creatures existed and people knew about them enough to write the myths and create excuse me, trying to recover from something.
A little bit of Tutankhamun's curse there, huh?
Yeah. At one point, everyone thought the myths were real, but why don't we think that anymore? Why did they disappear? How did they disappear? Who created the veil? And in some ways, the Royal Society of Myth is starting to think, why is the veil starting to fail? Why are we, we've been around since 1887. Why now are we finding so many more hints, so many more clues that are leading us to, to these creatures or these places? So that's a whole backstory that you can get into if you go beyond sort of the one-shot aspect of it.
Oh, that's very cool.
Reminds me of Chill a little bit.
Oh, right. Classic, yes.
Because,
Yeah.
over there on my shelf, I got a copy of the Mayfair, but I can't afford to get the Pace Setter. No, that box set is forever out of my way.
Yeah. I remember we had Chill back in the day.
That's good. I think it's a great type of between what we got, Chill, maybe some Call of Cthulhu, and Hollow Earth Adventures, and there's not much more than that. This is a very untapped vein when it comes to RPGs. So I think it's a good thing to go. So good choice, man.
I have a pretty big collection, but I don't have Chill. I just have Netflix.
That's the least important of that combination.
Sorry, guys, couldn't resist. But no, it's a good.
I allow my avatar to speak for me.
So Bear's avatar, for the people who can't see it, is a grumpy bear. He's not happy at the moment. So
sounds like me.
I've been thinking for years it'd be great if there was like a found footage tabletop RPG, because that's really a vibe no one's gone into too much. And this seems a little more lighthearted than what I would want from that, but it's similar elements. I mean, almost if you go back to the original found footage in the Blair Witch, you're literally they're hunting a myth. They're doing it badly, and it ends in disaster for everyone involved. But still some similarities. And Winter Willow says Bear isn't grumpy; he's just misunderstood.
No, I'm grumpy. Anyone who knows I'm grumpy understands me perfectly well. It's got some vibes of Kolchak the Night Stalker in it too, and that's kind of cool.
I see that.
I think you can take it a lot of different ways. You can definitely go lighthearted. There's some things that I've got in my notes for additional adventures or things I'm going to inflict on my home group with this. Where you have to deal with leprechauns and gremlins and things that are not going to be very direct to face, but they're definitely going to cause you interesting and often comic relief problems and such. But there's also there's a deeper story here, and I don't want to give away too much, but there's more going on with the Royal Society of Myth itself, and from a campaign perspective, there's a path you can take there that really blows this whole thing open into a much bigger situation. Lots of things that are beyond sort of sneaking around in the quiet. Things become much more open, or the nature of what's going on changes. I think there's some exciting things to delve into.
Well, you're at $1,100. You've got 12 days to go. I'd say you're doing all right. And once again, folks, if you want to check it out, it is tinyurl.com/Royal Society Myth.
It is scrolling there across the bottom of our screen, but you can check it out. You guys, do you know any people who are actual real life cryptid hunters?
I know ghost hunters. I don't know any cryptid hunters.
Yeah, I got a friend back in Indiana. Every once in a while, he posts about how it's smelling squatchy wherever he happens to be on his hiking or camping trip. And there's never any photographic evidence of what might be giving off this smell, but just sometimes like, yeah, it smells a little squatchy out here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking that RSM cleaner got to him and took away that evidence. So
yeah, that's yeah. And when Willow wants to hunt some ghosts with you, Bear.
That's okay. I'm good. I don't believe in ghosts. They don't exist. We're good.
they
I
can
don't
stay on
need
that
to go,
side
I
of the
don't need to
room.
waste my time going, did you hear something? Like, seriously, have you not watched my podcast, this Sunday night, yet another paranormal podcast, Winter Willow, where Cody and I talk about all this stuff, and I'm constantly saying how bullshit it all is? Except for Sasquatch. I'm 100% behind Sasquatch and aliens. I'm on point for those. But the rest can all just be...
No luck for Chupacabra?
I'm sorry, what? We haven't touched Mothman yet. We haven't touched Chupacabra. We haven't done a real deep dive on cryptids. So maybe we'll read this game first and then see if we're allowed to do the deep dive on cryptids.
See if you have get past the entrance exam.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I'm a bit of an alumni, or at least a legacy now, since my dulcet tones are selling them. Just saying,
That's true.
Just saying.
Now we do have the.
Sir, that was a full bushel of turnips.
Yes.
It was indeed. It was good. But no, I think you got something interesting here, and I think people are going to like it. Now, I'm not a Savage Worlds guy, despite it being up on my shelf. But I know lots of people love that game, so that's a really cool thing. I hope that works out well for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We do have a demo game scheduled for next weekend.
1 week from today, yeah.
Yep, same time.
Yeah.
And I'll be running people through a new myth hunt that I'm creating.
Is he limiting you to 1 hour like he always does for his live streams, or is he letting you have more time?
I think I have more time, but you'll have to let me know.
We can go a little longer, sure. I mean, it's a demo game. Bear wants me to have these. Bear has these long shows that go for like 2-3 hours. I'm usually very focused. Like
it's called having interesting content, right?
Yeah. Back me up, Ross. There is something nice about short shows, isn't there?
I mean, there's room for every length under the sun in podcast world, so I'm all for it. Now, to be clear, James, this is being fulfilled with drive-through, so it is a electronic product. It is not a print product, correct?
There's a print-on-demand option.
Print-on-demand,
mini setting,
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's what I meant. Is it's not like in-store print. It's
correct.
It's print-on-demand through drive-through, which a lot of people have done. I have done several times. It's a very good way to go. Doc Flamingo says Bigfoot is a psyop by the alien ghost lizard men from the center of the earth. I like how you just compound all the conspiracy theories on the top of each other.
They're more unassailable that way.
Is there any particular Savage World rules that you would say work really well for the Royal Society of Myth?
I'm particularly fond of the quick encounters and dramatic tasks, because they keep things moving quickly. You don't get bogged down in a lot of detail. You can have a dramatic moment. You can have a challenge that's narratively interesting to what's going on. That doesn't have to be combat. Doesn't have to be some of the more detailed things. The chase rules or something like that. So I get a lot of work out of quick encounters and dramatic tasks.
Those are things I have used as well to great effect. And I like your elevator pitch here. Just so everybody is clear on it, the elevator pitch, according to the Kickstarter page, is it's blending X-Files with Indiana Jones, wrapped up in the vibe of a BBC documentary. I really dig that. So you can almost imagine, Werner Herzog or the BBC guy, I can't remember his name, David Attenborough.
Right.
So Attenborough and Herzog narrating the party as they are tracking down,
and
some
now
kind
we
of
see our adventurers heading into the cave. Little do they know that the monster is close at hand. One of them smells it now. He's become alarmed. He signals to the others. They do not realize death is around the corner.
That's a good Attenborough.
This is I get a script for this thing of, hey, I need you to record this for me. This is my script. I'm like, all right, do this like David Attenborough. No.
How's your Werner Herzog?
I've never done one, so I don't know. I don't have an audio of him in my head, sadly. Now, if I'd had my druthers, not to show off, I'd have liked to have done it as Jesse Ventura. I think that would have been.
He is a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus. So.
He is a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus who lives in the Baja. I wrestled a vampire one time.
All right, so there's chat going on in the comments. Scott Crossan, that guy's same name sounds familiar, doesn't it, Russ? He says that is a psyop by the mutant cows that run Big Cheese. Big Cheese. Everyone knows that mutant cows are in the service of the Arch Lich, Amy Winehouse. And then Winter Willow says, "Good impression, Bear." She's really your cheering section, isn't she? That's nice.
Yeah, you've got a fan, buddy. So
hang out my channel sometime. You'll find out we're just a big happy family. It's like a cult. You should join.
This is actually a good time for both of you, if you want to just quickly tell the audience like where they can find you on the web if they want to hire you or interact with you for your cool stuff that you do.
Who, me?
Yeah, so
both of you.
This guy.
Yeah. So dragonlairdgaming.com is where you can see, a lot of the stuff that I've already done. You can contact me at any time at jldavenport@gmail.com. I do freelance work. I write adventures for other people's Kickstarters in, their own new settings. And then, I do Savage Worlds. I've done, other systems as well. I tend to do GM advice, game direction, characters and adventures, that sort of thing. The plots and stuff, more fluff than crunch, but I'll make sure that the crunch is up to speed as well. So yeah, that's where you can get a hold of me.
And Bear, where can we find you?
Leave me alone. I don't want to talk to any of you. What's wrong with you people? Get a life. Go away. No, you can find me on YouTube at Bear the Gen X GM. We do live plays. We do the 4-Color Cafe every Friday night, which is a 2 to 3 hour panel show talking about various RPG stuff. Or we'll have guests on. We've had Larry Elmore and Tim Kask and Jeff Grubb and Matt Forbeck comes on very often. He's a friend, so it's really great to have Matt on from time to time. And we also spotlight indie games and indie creators as much as we can. We've had Blackwell for his Horde Wars and things like that. I have a Patreon. Don't worry. And I'm producing, right now, I'm in the process of getting our superhero game Heroic out, which has been a nightmare of a year. And for some stupid reason, I thought it was a good idea to start another project. So coming soon is going to be Valorous, the heroic fantasy role-playing game that is basically me having had enough of grimdark and skullduggery and candle shadows and everything else. I'm so tired of every game being dark and depressing, and there's no heroic role-playing out there anymore. There's no good guys being good guys, And I'm more of a Superman fan than I've ever been a Batman fan, so it's just par for the course. I'm also very tired right now, so I apologize if I'm not speaking.
No, I understand it's late there in Quebec, so.
Well, and you live in a fake time zone, so what are we gonna do?
Well, yeah, everyone must excuse Bear. He lives behind the Iron Curtain. It's okay.
The Iron Curtain.
The Iron Curtain in Quebec.
What are you talking about, comrade? We took iron down and made steel, and now we have paint.
Well, Jim and Bear, it's been great having you on the show to talk to us about the Royal Society of Mythology. It's a really good-looking product. It's got a hell of a video, and it just has a really interesting and unusual approach to gaming with monsters. So definitely check it out. I think this is one worth your time.
Sweet.
I really appreciate it. You guys have been a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah, this has been a good time. All right, folks. Thanks for checking us out. We'll be back next
Jim,
week.
stick around after we're done. Don't run away, please.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. Next week, we're doing a demo of RSM here. Same channel, same time. We'll publish the details shortly. And until next time, keep it fast, fun, and furious. See you later.